Good morning. In today's episode, we're going to go over what is the 10-2 yield spread and why is it important. So the 10 in the 10-2 yield spread comes from the interest rate that a 10-year treasury bond will deliver to you if you were to purchase it. And the 2 in the 10-2 yield spread comes from the interest rate a 2-year treasury bond would give to you if you were to purchase it. So in normal economy, if you lock your money up for longer, it should pay a higher dividend. And so the 10-year should give you a higher interest rate than the 2-year. And if you take the 10-year interest rate and you subtract it from the 2-year interest rate, that's wrong. If you take the 2-year interest rate and subtract it from the 10-year, so 10 minus 2, you get the yield spread, the 10-2 yield spread. Because the 10-year yield is, let's say, 4%. The 2-year yield is, let's say, 3.75%. Your yield spread's 0.25%. That is the spread, the difference between your 10-year and your 2-year. As of the recording of today's episode, the 10-year and the 2-year yield spread are almost identical. It's September of 2024. And over the last year, it happens to be the case that the 2-year was producing a higher interest rate than the 10-year, meaning that the 10 minus the 2 was yielding a negative number, meaning there was a inverted yield spread is what they call. If you go to FRED, Financial Reserve Economic Data, and take a look, you just do a search on the internet for FRED 10-2 yield spread, you'll get a graph. And you can see that the graph dips over the last year below zero. Okay, why is this all important? Historically speaking, when the 10-2 yield spread is inverted and then comes back up to zero, if you look over these little gray bars that you see, each one of those gray bars is a period of economic recession. The periods of economic recession are sometimes preceded by a negative 10-2 yield spread, or an inverted 10-2 yield spread, excuse me. And if you zoom whirl in, you'll see that it'll dip below, it'll come back up, and then some 3 to 6 months later, you'll have a period of economic recession. The inverted 10-2 yield spread, therefore, is known as a leading indicator of an economic recession. It is not the only indicator that a person should look at. And it is not necessarily the case that just because it's almost always happened in the past, that it will happen in the future. But I guess you could say I would agree with somebody if they told me that there's a higher probability of an economic recession due to the fact that the yield spread has come back to positive after a prolonged period of being wildly negative. I don't normally make these sort of opinionated predictions. However, I'm asked the question, what is the 10-2 yield spread? And why is it important? And those are the answers. Thank you. Have a good day.